What was the Egyptians' actual purpose in the series? I just wanted to briefly talk about this since the Egyptian actually fought all 4 champions, and there was an important detail which some might have missed out on. This was even talked about on the Reddit subreddit of Spartacus, whether the Egyptian was actually introduced aside from a villain to also show the power scaling of each champions, of Crixus, Spartacus, Animeus, and Gannicus. Now, of course, for some of these gladiators, the circumstances played a big role on how their fight against the Egyptian turned out, but we can talk on a general basis on what their power scaling has to do with the fact that the Egyptian was so strong. I already made a video in the past about the Egyptian which got quite popular, so I thought I want to revisit a similar topic. So when he first crawled out of the cave, we knew nothing of the Egyptian, and straight up he bullied Crixus in their fight. This showcased that Crixus is the weakest of all the champions. He ranked as 4th. Of course, he was not at his peak during this fight, but it does not change the fact that Crixus still ranks as the 4th among the rest, no matter which prime or timeline you take him in from. This already puts the Egyptian at champion tier material. Next, we have the fight against Animeus. Their first encounter, Animeus was fresh out of his injuries and still recovering of everything he went through. The Egyptian managed to win their fight and overpower Animeus basically. To us as viewers, this was shocking the first time you saw it basically from our standpoint, because he was a brand new character simply and effortless beating Doctori and all other champions. Gannicus saved him. In this timeline, I would put Animeus as the 2nd given his state. At number 3, meaning the 3rd fight, Spartacus fought him. And I have to note, he was the only one to simply evade the Egyptians' attack and deliver him to the ground and would have killed him, if not for the Roman army behind the Egyptian. Spartacus was the only one to injure the Egyptian at this point and simply win their fight, like he was another foot soldier for Spartacus. In the last encounter, Gannicus and Animeus had a rematch in which Animeus got killed despite the Egyptian having an injury from Spartacus. But Animeus was injured from him as well prior, so weakened basically. He was overpowered for the moment till Animeus' death enraged him, delivering the final blow to him and ending this streak. Spartacus was the strongest in this encounter, no question, followed by Gannicus, then Animeus, and lastly Crixus. In my honest opinion, I think the showrunners wanted to show how strong each character actually is in comparison to the others, and that Spartacus stood on top of them all, and Crixus was the weakest of the 4. Of course, you could argue in so many ways regarding Animeus and Gannicus, for example, given that he was not in his best state, and Gannicus still beat him in a 1 versus 1, meaning Gannicus versus the Egyptian, for example. And then again, the Egyptian was injured in their final fight and whatnot too. So I just wanted to briefly touch on this topic and talk about the Egyptian's meaning aside of being a villain, because if the showrunners, in my opinion, did not want to give us a hint on who the strongest of the 4 champions is and how they could be ranked hypothetically, then there was simply no point of randomly introducing this Egyptian who is as strong as a champion tier and randomly and effortlessly beat the champions like Crixus and Gannicus and Animeus, if not with a second meaning like this one, meaning he was basically a brief showcase of power scaling in vengeance towards the champions.